Like Ashley said, we're going to talk about Meridian notifications and how you can empower your team with real-time notifications within the Meridian system. So first off, just a little bit about myself. Like she said, my name is Jeremy Clay. I'm a document management specialist for Hagerman. I've been with the company for 3 years now. Prior to working for Hagerman, I got my bachelor's degree of architectural technologies from Rankin in St. Louis. I worked for 14 years in corporate engineering as a draftsman and project manager within pharmaceuticals, using Meridian and getting involved with the software quite a bit. And then, like I said, about 3 years ago, I transitioned into the Hagerman team, and now do quite a bit of work with installs, customizations, everything like that with Meridian. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump in. First things first, we'll just do a quick overview of what we're going to talk about. So at a high level, we're going to talk about, first off, what is a Meridian notification, and what are the benefits of it, how can it be used. Then we'll talk about what's required to use Meridian notifications. Are there anything that you have to make sure that you have within your software or within your system architecture to make that work? Then we'll talk about, what are the benefits of using it? Why would you go through setting this up, and what benefits are you going to get? Then we'll talk about there's a few different types of notifications available within Meridian. So we'll touch on each one of those and give you a brief overview and kind of talk about what the possibilities are and what's exactly available. Then one of the last things we'll talk about is how can you customize and really start to make the notification system fit your systems, your needs as a company. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll give you some examples of some of the different complexities that you'll see within the system. All right, so first let's talk about what is a Meridian notification. So we're going to discuss what a notification is and how it can be used within Meridian. So first, the Meridian notification system it's a configuration enhancement that allows Meridian to work with a simple mail transfer protocol or an SMTP server. This configuration allows Meridian to communicate directly with users during different actions or functions within the Vault or the Meridian software. Meridian notification can be customized to provide a wide variety of information, including some of the bullets shown below. Things like a document status update. If a document changes from under change to released, you can be notified. If a document has a rendition that's been created or updated, we can notify users of that. If the native document has been updated or downloaded or printed, you can notify users of that. Workflow action requests. So if you've been sent a document and you're requested to take action on it, whether it's to take a look and review it, or if it's to mark it up, or if it's been assigned to you for change, all of those different actions can be tied to an email notification that lets the user know directly that, hey, you have an action within the system. You can provide hyperlinks to the document or the document rendition. So rather than telling somebody to go look at it and having them have to go find it within the system, you can provide a hyperlink that takes them directly to the document. You can do a Power Web URL, so if it's to go look at a document or go look at a collection of documents, we can provide a URL that takes them directly where they need to be. You can show the document folder path, so you can just tell the users, hey, go look at everything within this folder. And then we can also do some custom scripting expressions. A wide variety of things you could do there, but that gets a little more complex. As an example, you could do something like automatically provide red lines or reassign documents, things like that, based off of locations. So just a brief overview of what the Meridian notification system is. So next thing is we'll talk about what's required to make this Meridian notification system work. So as mentioned in one of the previous slides there, really the main component that you need to make this all work is a simple mail transfer protocol or an SMTP server. 95% companies have those already in place. Anywhere that you can send automatic emails, that's That's what an SMT server's purpose is, to create the connection to the SMTP server. You can see the bullets here. These are a list of everything that you'll need to know whenever you create the connection between the SMTP server and the Meridian system. So you'll need a host name to know where the address is for the server. You have to have the port number that it communicates through. As you can see, typically it's 25 unless it's been customized for your environment. A sender address and a sender name. Those can be created, be whatever you want them to be. You got to tell it whether you're using SSL or not. So that's a secure connection or not secure. The authentication type, just there's a couple different ways it can be authorized. So you got to establish that. And then the last thing is you have to have an account that read permissions to the server that you can create the connections for there. So these are the main components needed. You can see the last two bullets there are a few minor configurations within the vault that needs to be done and get this set up. So it's a pretty straightforward and simple system, but just wanted to list out everything that's really required to make this thing work. All right, so why would we use the Meridian notification system? So let's talk about some of the benefits that's provided for the system. So just to list these out, users are notified when a document can be assigned to them. So instant awareness when documents are assigned to a user. So rather than having to call somebody and say, or just wait for somebody to take a look within the system, anytime an action happens and it's assigned to a specific user, they can be notified directly right then. And even within that email, you can provide, like we said earlier, a hyperlink, a description of what needs to happen, a brief message to the user. You can do all that stuff instantaneously. It's a lot easier to monitor your email. People are used to that rather than having to get into a system like Meridian and look and see if something's been assigned to you, check the status of things. It's automatic communication. So another benefit is you can communicate and remind users of timelines. So communicate and remind users of established timelines for actions assigned to them within the vault. So notifications can be set up to be reoccurring. You can also say, hey, this document's been assigned to you. You have 2 weeks to review it. If they don't take action on that within 2 weeks, they'll be reminded again that says, hey, you have a document that's overdue. After a certain amount of time, you can actually escalate that to a manager if that's a configuration that you have set up. So you can really customize this and gain a lot of benefits in time and awareness for these things. Another thing you can do is you can monitor software processes and events. So more on the administration side, if you are a system administrator and you're responsible for keeping a system moving along and making sure nothing's failing or there's no problems, Meridian can notify you if something like a process fails, or if a rendition doesn't complete, or if an event or event's recorded that is an error or an action. It can notify the appropriate person. That way they can log into the system, review that, and get it corrected quickly without lots of back and forth and trying to catch up with what's going on. So that's more on the system administration side rather than the document user side. Also, for your everyday user that is a viewer rather than a manager or somebody that's modifying documents, if you find documents within the vault that you're specifically looking at often, you can do what we call subscribe to those documents. So when you subscribe to a document, if it's a specific process maybe that you're involved in or a specific building that you're responsible for, anytime a document's updated, you can receive notification that just tells you, hey, this document's either been checked out or it's been redlined or it's been updated with a change. So proactively, you can look into, hey, what was changed? Is it going to affect me or my process? Rather than sitting back and having to wait till something breaks to be informed. Just a few more benefits: increase user and management engagement. So providing hyperlinks and attaching renditions and documents that users can look at within the communication really just simplifies the process, right? If you don't have to leave this system and go look at the Meridian system and come back to your email and see what you're responsible for, the Meridian notification system allows that interaction where you can make it a seamless process. And then it also decreases the time required for users to locate and perform the necessary action. So like I said, if I'm assigned a document, the notification can specifically tell me, hey, you're assigned this document, here's a hyperlink to it, and this is exactly what you're responsible to do, whether it's review it or approve it, sign it, redline it, whatever. The notification can specifically tell users exactly what needs to happen and provide direct access to it. You can also have customizable communication to appropriately communicate with user groups. Audience segmentation for personalization. So basically, if groups of users need to be notified about different actions or different sections, different documents, things like that, you do have the ability, as I mentioned earlier, to customize those communications and personalize them for each group, right? So that, hey, if you're responsible for the structural, you can have structural notifications set up that alerts the structural team, that tells them that they need to go review the structural details for this. And if you have architectural, you can do the same thing with them. So you can segment those notifications in the best way that works for your company. And kind of already mentioned the last one earlier, but provide direct access to vault specific information. So within the communication, you can provide things like metadata, just about the document, whether it's the building, the location, the status, the workflow, whatever it is, you can include that in the communication. You can provide a direct web link, like I mentioned earlier, to the rendition or the native document, depending on how, what you're going to be responsible for. And you can provide a brief description of the required action for the users. So several benefits of using the Meridian notification system and what it can be done to really help you and your company increase your production in this. All right, so now let's talk about what types of notifications are available. So there's several different types. First are just Meridian Vault notifications. So those are things that are specific to your vault and the content within that. So you can, just two examples, notify specific users or groups about documents within the vault. The second one, you can notify trigger anytime something's assigned to them, right? So if it's a document that you're concerned with, you can notify groups, or if it's something that's been assigned to you. Those are the two main notifications the Meridian Vault is going to use. Meridian Enterprise Server notifications. So this is more on the application administrator side, but you can notify the appropriate administrators when processes fails, so they can go be troubleshooted and resolved as quickly and painlessly as possible. You can notify users when application events are recorded or logged. So if something needs to be reviewed to make sure that it was right, or reviewed that make sure maybe something crashed and you want to know why, you can go back and look at the logs. The third one, it can notify submitters when documents or renditions have been processed successfully or if they've failed. So when you have a document and you update the rendition, or you make changes to the document, if that rendition does not successfully complete, it can notify the person who submitted the job. It can also notify the administrators, so that way everybody's aware of, hey, this document didn't update successfully. We need to go troubleshoot it and get it processed so that the information is out there and it's up to date and correct. Document subscription management. Subscription is what I mentioned earlier, where you can subscribe to documents related to a specific area or process and be informed anytime workflow action occurs on this area or process. So like I said, that is more of a be informed before rather than after type of thing. So if something involved in your process is being changed, you'll see it so that we can be aware and kind of be ahead of the curve on that. Meridian portal notifications. Meridian Partner Portal is a way that you can communicate with outside vendors. So you take documents from your vault and you push them out to a Meridian cloud. And from there, you can provide access to your external vendors to review those, to comment on those, to update those documents, whatever. And then you can pull them back from the cloud into Meridian. So during that whole process, Meridian Portal also has notifications that can do very similar things, such as tell people when they've been assigned documents, tell you the status of documents, tell you if something has failed or not transitioned completely. It can give you timeline windows. So the same notifications within the Meridian Vault can also be used and leveraged within the Meridian Portal with your external parties, if that's a component that you have set up. All right, so next let's talk about how a Meridian notification can be customized. So we've talked about, what it is, talked about some of the benefits of using it, talked about the different types. Now we can touch base quickly on kind of what can be customized and what options are available for you. All right, so just out of the box notifications within Meridian that you can turn on and off. We have several options here. So with the Vault, you can see you have the following default notifications that are already configured. Document, you can enable these options when the following actions happen. When a document is imported from portal, when as-built is updated, project copies are created, project copies are discarded, project copies are released. If a document's redlined, if the document workflow goes from released, revoked, started, or if just a workflow transition is executed. So each one of those notifications are a default built-in option within Meridian that you can just enable, tie to the SMTP server, and Meridian kind of out of the box has that built in. Within each one of those notifications, there's 3 groups that you can enable to be notified. First being the to-do person. So the person in Meridian who's assigned to take action on the document. So if a project copy is created, it doesn't really make sense to tell the person who created the project copy that it's been created. But it might make sense to tell the manager, which is the person who's initiated the current document workflow, or the subscribers. If a document is a project copy is being created, the subscriber might be interested in that because he wants to know, hey, why are you creating a copy of this document? What are you doing with it? Is there a project going on? So it's a good way to ask questions and start conversations proactively. So like I said, just mentioning that these are the default options within Meridian here. You can do much more than that, but right out of the box, this is pretty easy to turn on and enable. We talked about some Meridian notification customizations. So at a high level, you can customize the subject line of an email. So you can provide detailed description within the subject to inform users the purpose of the notification. So rather than them just being unaware and thinking this is spam or whatever it is, you can provide a brief description so that the user looks at the subject and they're like, oh, okay, this is something I need to look at. It's something that I'm involved with. So not only the subject line, but you can also customize the text within the body of the email. So like I said, you can provide standard verbiage within the body, providing details about the notification. So whether you tell the user, you've been assigned this document and we need you to review it within 2 weeks. If not, your manager will be notified and it'll be escalated. You can provide any of those types of details. You can provide the status of the document, anything like that. And then we can also customize the details included within the notification. So once again, inside a notification, there's tick boxes that you can enable or disable to include, whether it's the document status, document renditions. You want to include the native document within the notification. You can actually attach the native document. You can attach the rendition. You can attach information related to a workflow request. As I mentioned earlier, you can provide a hyperlink directly to the document or a Power Web URL to the document within the Vault. You can provide the folder path of where the document is stored within your vault, or you can do some customized scripting again. So lots of options and lots of things you can do to really make this work for your company and see what you can do to get the most benefit out of it. All right, so just I want to give you kind of an example of a basic email notification that was established, right? So you can see, just going through some of the details here, you can see EDMS notifications. This is kind of the sender information that we provided, right? You got the sender email. So this is an email address that we came up with basically to tie to our notifications. So users will see that and they'll know that it's coming from Meridian rather than just from spam or for something like that. So you can tell you the date and time, the subject line. This was a structural document in my example. So the subject, I just had it say structural. Then down here you can see this is just a location within the Meridian Vault, but it tells you, hey, structural information for the following documents. Direct access to where the document is stored within the vault. So that's just kind of a basic with just one option enabled. You can still see quite a bit of information provided, but not overwhelming, not distracting, still beneficial. So this is kind of a more advanced notification. So some of the things you can see we included is I included the native document. So if the user wants, they can open that document and review it right here. They want to look at it. They want to print it. They want to do whatever. There's a copy of it. We have the subject is 3737 Market Street. So that was the site that this was included in. And so this was a group notification for that site. So you can see right off the bat, it tells me that, and then it tells me it's a notification. And the three things that we included in this one, we have the folder path, right? So just like our first one, it tells me where the document's stored within the vault. It also tells me, hey, out on the server, here's where the file path, or where the document is located. So if I needed to go download it or I needed to tell IT something about it, there's a file path there. And then probably the most useful is here's the URL path. So if I wanted to review this document or perform my action or whatever the required action was, here's a hyperlink here. I just click on that, open it in the browser, do my action after I sign in, and everything's completed. So once again, it's just going to streamline that document. If you wanted to open it here first, give it a review, make sure things look right, then you could go in, open it in PowerWeb, perform your review action, and complete that. So at a high level, I think that's a pretty good overview of notifications. I hope you guys see some benefits that your company can use to leverage some of these things in the future. So if anybody has any interest in something like this, you can reach out to our Hagerman team and we can help set up something once just to review it, maybe see what the options are, see if you would benefit from it. And then if so, we could get involved and help you set it up and get things moving forward.